turn of the corner, and there's much more to come.
That man is not allowed in my pub. Get out of my pub. Go on. Get out of my pub.
Whoa, police are holding her down.
This whole debate about X, the PSYOP is working as intended, okay? The system is playing out exactly as it was supposed to. I made the point that, you know, this whole idea that we've got to ban X because people are using Grok to AI undress people, right? And I said it's nothing to do with the AI undressing of people. You can do that on Photoshop, ChatGPT, you can do that on almost any app. There is sexual exploitation, horrible things happening, whether it be Snapchat or TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or everywhere, okay? People out there do horrible, disgusting things. They commit crimes. They should be arrested. Now, I'm not saying that Grok doesn't need to look at its AI and say, is there a way we can make sure that this can't be done? Is there a way to block this function so it doesn't involve child exploitation? But this is the thing. This isn't about that. This is because everyone goes to X for the truth. That's why the EU wants it gone. That is why Starmer wants it gone. Now, why would you need to stop X to prevent something that Grok is doing? Now, the PSYOP's working as intended, because when I said this yesterday and it went viral, everyone is now saying, how disgusting. All he wants to do is stop X generating child pornography. That's why they've chosen this subject. Instead of saying, actually, we want to ban X because we hate free speech and we want to control you and censor you, they're using this idea that it's child pornography they're stopping. It is not. Okay? Do not let them fool you. It is playing out as intended. The faux moral argument of the Prime Minister basically saying, I'm here to protect women and children, which is his cover, right? This is the sort of brainwashing way he's going about, trying to make you think that him shutting down free speech and the only forum where we can actually have conversations out in the open is something completely different. The system is working as planned. Look at all the posts going up on there. All the mad leftists who hate Elon Musk and want X shutting down are all using that. Of course, we've got to stop child pornography. It's sick. I mean, look, it's AI, right? It's gross, it's horrible. But if he really wanted to stop sexual abuses, well, he might start with controlling our borders. Anyway, mark my words, the PSYOP, the system is working as intended. Don't trust Starmer, he's gaslighting.
Breaking. King Charles has just done something no British monarch has dared to do in more than 300 years. He walked into a live parliamentary session and directly confronted Prime Minister Keir Starmer. What he said was so devastating that Starmer appeared frozen in place. Within minutes, 3 cabinet ministers reportedly fled the chamber. The pound wobbled. Social media exploded. And what the king revealed next has triggered what many are already calling the greatest constitutional crisis Britain has faced since World War II. This is not speculation. This is not rumor. This happened. And by the time you finish watching this video, you'll understand why Starmer's government may not survive the month. But first, you need to know exactly what Charles said that left all 650 MPs in stunned silence and why veteran groups are now calling this the most significant moment in modern British history. It began as the dullest Wednesday Westminster had seen in months. At exactly 2:17 p.m., Keir Starmer stood at the dispatch box droning through housing reform routine business, the kind of session nobody expects to make headline. Backbench MPs were scrolling on their phones. Ministers nodded along half asleep. The press gallery was nearly empty, with journalists already planning to file forgettable policy summaries. It was supposed to be the political equivalent of watching paint dry. Then the doors of the House of Commons opened and everything changed. The Sergeant-at-Arms entered carrying Black Rod, the ancient symbol used to summon Parliament to the House of Lords. Every MP instantly understood what that meant. The monarch was calling them. But there was a problem. Parliament was already in session. The king does not interrupt live proceedings. There is no precedent, no protocol, nothing in 300 years of constitutional history. MPs stared at one another in disbelief. Some thought it was a security drill. Others assumed a catastrophic mistake had been made. But the Sergeant-at-Arms kept walking, expression rigid, unblinking. The chamber fell into a suffocating silence. Starmer stopped mid-sentence, his hand frozen in a gesture that suddenly meant nothing. Reporters later said they watched the color drain from his face in real time. He glanced at the speaker. The speaker looked back, just as confused. Neither of them knew what to do. This wasn't in any rule book. This wasn't supposed to happen in modern Britain, and yet it was happening live. Within 90 seconds, the entire House of Commons was on its feet, filing out in what could only be described as organized chaos. MPs whispered urgently. Phones appeared. Staff were called. No one had answers. The only certainty was that King Charles had just shattered 3 centuries of constitutional convention, and he would not have done so without an earth-shaking reason. Inside the House of Lords, the scene was unlike anything veteran observers had ever witnessed. King Charles stood at the throne, but something was immediately wrong. No ceremonial robes, no crown, no regalia, no pageantry. He wore a plain dark suit. He looked less like a monarch and more like a man who had already crossed a line he could never uncross. He appeared exhausted, controlled, furious, determined. The Lord Speaker approached the microphone to begin the formal protocol, centuries of tradition, precise words, rehearsed procedure. Before a single word could be spoken, Charles raised his hand. The motion was small. The authority behind it was absolute. The chamber froze. Then the king spoke 6 words that blew apart the constitutional rulebook. That won't be necessary. His voice was calm, but razor sharp. I have not come here for ceremony. I have come here because silence is no longer an option. The chamber erupted. Shouts from conservative benches. Labor MPs staring in disbelief. The speaker's gavel struck again and again, but no one was listening. The King of the United Kingdom was about to directly condemn a sitting government, and there was nothing anyone in that room could do to stop him. Parliamentary procedure was irrelevant. Constitutional convention was finished. This was raw authority, exercised in real time. Charles waited. He did not rush. He did not waver. Witnesses later said he appeared more composed than anyone else in the chamber, like a man who had prepared for this moment for weeks. When the noise finally collapsed into silence, he continued. I have watched this government, he said, his eyes moving slowly across the labor benches. I have watched it drive this nation toward a precipice. I have remained silent as protocol demands. I have signed legislation I found deeply troubling. I have smiled at policies I believed were profoundly destructive, because that is what a constitutional monarch does. We stay above politics. We trust elected leaders to serve the people. We believe democracy, however imperfect, will correct its own mistakes. But there comes a moment, his voice hardening with every word, when silence becomes complicity, when standing aside means standing with, when trusting the system means betraying the very people that system was designed to protect. That moment arrived yesterday, and I will not be complicit in what comes next. The chamber was frozen. No movement, no whispers, no coughs. Even journalists stopped typing, fingers hovering above keyboards as they struggled to comprehend what they were witnessing. A British monarch was publicly condemning his own government. It hadn't happened since the Civil War. It wasn't supposed to be possible in the 21st century. Yet here, it was broadcast live. Starmer stood rigid among his MPs. Those near him later said he looked like a man watching his own political execution. Aides gestured frantically, urging him to respond. He didn't move. One Labour MP later described his expression as someone who had just discovered their entire life was built on a lie. But Charles was not finished, because what he said next did not merely criticize policy. It accused the government of something far more serious, something that could trigger criminal investigations, parliamentary collapse, and a national reckoning. And it was at that moment that 3 cabinet ministers rose from their seats and fled the chamber on camera.